I'm a nobody from nowhere that ain't never done nothing. That's what I am. An old head. These young coaches, I tell you what, I can't figure these jokers out. They got a backpack on and tight something. I don't know what they're doing. They're getting on my nerves, I can tell you that. I know what ain't in the backpack. A string and a let me paint that line for you. That ain't in there. That's for sure. I had a kid the other day. He said, "Hey, Coach, didn't Christopher Columbus write the Pledge of Allegiance?" I said, "He sure did. He also played quarterback for the 1985 Chicago Bears." He said, "Bet." That happened. Sun Coaches, Season 6, where coaches come and tell their stories. Some of them are funny. Some of them is going to help you in your coaching journey. Not everybody has a funny story, but everybody has a story. Hope you enjoy Sun Coaches, brought to you by Titan Sensor. Sun Coaches is proud to partner with Titan Sensor for Season 6 and 7. Titan is made in the USA, proudly founded and based in Texas. When you connect with Titan, you are not alone. You can collaborate and share templates with other coaches across the country to build reports and foster competition. Used by programs such as State 6A Georgia State champion Grayson High School, Titan can tailor a package to fit your needs. The eye in the sky never lies. Improve your team's performance with Titan. Welcome to Sun Coaches Podcast, Season 6, and today I'm joined by East Jackson head coach Cameron Pettus. Coach Pettus, thanks for being on with me.
Coach Lamb, thank you, man. This is an honor and a privilege. I'm excited to be here.
Well, Coach, tell everybody where you actually grew up and went to high school.
Paulding County High School is where I grew up. I grew up there and had the privilege of playing for Ken Big Daddy Phillips. I know I heard Coach Kofor talk about him a little bit on one of your podcasts, but I played for Coach Phillips. And then my junior year, Coach Phillips retired, and Chuck Buddy came in, the Yankee from Illinois, and he really inspired me as well, and had a great time there at Paulding County High School, and just enjoyed learning football from those two role models, and really kind of inspired me to get going, in my own coaching profession.
So what all, did you just play football or did you play other sports in high school?
No,
as
I
well?
did. I tried to play basketball. I was Pine Time Network. That's what the PTN. We were into the bench. Coach Parsons would put me in the game, and I would try to foul out, and he would get so mad at me, and he would yell at me, "Cameron, quit fouling. You put me in with 30 seconds, man. I'm gonna get my hacks."
And then, like Kurt Rambis.
Yeah. Then also I did track, and I ran around and ran through some hurdles, and tried to high jump, which wasn't very good, but I attempted. And then I actually went out, and I know you're a little bit of a golfer. I played on the golf team when I could. Wasn't very good, but I enjoyed doing it. So that's what I did in high school too as well.
Yeah, I'm still not very good. I just enjoy, I like going out there. That's my socialization every week.
Absolutely.
I gotta go out in public at some point in time. So those are my people I hang out with. So
yeah, that's it.
Find people that enjoy that. So you grew up in Paulding County, went to Paulding County High School. I bet that place has changed a lot since when you were coming up.
Yeah, so my sister, East Paulding, was created, and that was the second high school when she was coming through, and I think she was first or second graduating class there from East Paulding. She was right behind me. So yeah, it was just Paulding County forever, and then East Paulding, and then after that, I think Hiram popped, and then since then you got North Paulding, South Paulding. But yeah, it's changed. My mom and dad still live there in Dallas, Georgia, so I go home and visit those guys pretty frequently, and it's just, I mean, you drive by and you just don't recognize anything anymore, just because there's just so much business there.
Oh yeah, I grew up in Columbia County, and back then there was Evans and Harlem.
Yeah,
and it was like leaving Augusta was like going to the country. So going to Paulding County when you were growing up was like going to the country,
Yeah.
And then now you go and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, that's what drew me to East Jackson, honestly, is it really kind of reminded me of Paulding County back when I was growing up, because we're starting to get some of that growth from Gwinnett. The other side of Jackson County is really booming, but I think, we're small enough and still rural enough over here. And it really kind of reminded me a lot of Paulding County when I was growing up.
So did you get a chance to play collegiately, or did you just go on to college?
I did.
Where'd you go
I
play
went and
college
played.
ball at?
I did. Millikin University. It's a small Division III up in Central Illinois, and Carl Pelker was our head coach there, and it was a fantastic. So I originally, I don't know what I was thinking, but I went as pre-med, right?
Yeah, didn't we
My mom was
all?
like, "You need to be a doctor, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I did. I love science, um, but I went there, and Coach Pelker, who was our head football coach there, he was another very inspiring person in my life. And I was like, man, these guys got the life, man. They love coaching ball, and it's just fun, and I couldn't live without it, And it's just one of those kind of things that I felt like I would be so bored if I didn't have it, And I still feel that way today. I just love it, and it's just it's in my passion. It's in my bones. And graduated from Millikin. Then I came back down to Paulding County. Was there for 4 years. Coached with Coach O'Boyle there, and then I left Paulding, and Coach Pelker had left Millikin, and he was at McKendree College, which was a NAIA school just outside of St. Louis. So I went there and I coached college football with him for 7 years and just had a blast, and really enjoyed it there. I coached D-line, special teams, just had a ball. Met my wife while I was there in the area, and then we left. Then I stayed, and you know how it is. And if you're going to move up in college, you got to move around. And my wife, we wanted to have a family, so I took a high school job at Bevel West High School, which is a big high school just outside of St. Louis there, right next to East St. Louis High School. And I was there for 12 years. And then we had the opportunity to come back down to Georgia. And I've been now going on year number 7 here at East Jackson.
So you started out as a college coach. Well, I mean, you
I
started
did.
out at Paulding, but then you
I started
went.
out Paulding, yep, cut my teeth there a little bit, but then I was a college coach, and it was kind of, I've been on that end of the spectrum too, which is, it's a lot of fun too. It's like you said, it's y'all have your problems, but I enjoyed the recruiting process. It was fun going around and just visiting coaches and talking to players and kind of selling what you were doing. I really enjoyed that. That was fun.
So what years? I mean, give us a time frame of like.
Yeah, it was 01 to 08. I was at McKendree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this was well before things have gotten to where they are now.
Oh yeah.
Totally different landscape.
Oh, crazy. So at Millikin, so like we had a pretty cool little coaching fraternity there. So like one of my best friends in the world is George Barnett. Well, he's the O-line coach now at Iowa. And Chuck Martin, I know Chuck, he's a little bit older than me, but he's the head football coach at Miami, Ohio. And then Jeff Monken, who's a little bit older than me too, but he's a Millikin grad, and we kind of know each other. He's the head coach at Army, and all those guys are like, man, no, not Monken so much at Army, but Chuck and then George would just tell you horror stories about, how the NIL game works nowadays and just things. And then just, visiting with coaches coming through on the recruiting process. And they're telling you, like, it's crazy, man. Like, it's a different world out there with NIL and the haves and the have-nots.
So what was it like, working D3 level and, you played at that level and then trying to get kids to come in and understand, especially now, it probably helps you get kids to understand what that kind of football is like as opposed to what they think it's like.
Yeah. I mean, this is what I tell people all the time, all of our kids, because everybody has aspirations to go to Division I if they've got a competitiveness to us and they're worth anything. But I'm like, dude, if you're going to play college football, it don't matter if it's 1, 2, or 3. I said, you're going to have to work, and you're going to have to work hard because it becomes more of a job than it is anything else. So you got to have a true love for it. And, the big thing is even Division III, I mean, you're going to get the best of the best of kids that aren't Division I or 2 out of high school. So you're going to go there and no matter how good you are, chances are there are going to be some pretty good football players around you that you're going to be competing and playing with. And the love's still there. And I think the good thing is you get kids that truly just want to play football and get their education. You know what I mean? So I think that's in today's age where everybody's worried about money and when am I getting this? I mean, you're still getting kids at that level that want to go and get a college degree at that school because they like that school and they also want to participate in football.
Well, would you say now too, with the way transfer portal and NIL and all that other stuff, it would seem that everything's kind of bumped down at least a level. Like if you're not an elite kid, you could have played at one of the smaller G5 schools. You might have to look at you know what I'm saying? Things kind of shuffle down, trickle down.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we all see it every year now. We're like, man, this kid, 10 years ago, he'd be a Division II kid or he'd be a 1AA or FCS, like you were saying. And now he's not even getting a sniff. And I'm like, what's happening? Like I'm trying to find these guys, places to go. And it's it's getting harder and harder for high school kids every year. It seems like
It's like trickle down economics.
Yep,
And it's
absolutely.
spilling over into there. So when you did college for 7 years and were you the head coach at the high school in outside of St. Louis?
I was defense coordinator starting out, and then I moved to the head coaching spot. I think I was head coach 8 years now. So I'm going on year 7. So I'll be 15. I'll be going on 15 years now, which over half my career as a head coach, which is kind of crazy too when you look at it.
So what was that first year like? Do you remember?
Oh, hair was on fire, merry-go-round spinning. It's just chaos, and you're dealing with stuff, and you're not coaching football. You're putting out all these other fires, and it was fun, but it was you think but you don't know until you do it. It's what I remember Coach Pelker and Coach Buddy would always say that, like, you think but you really don't know until you just jump in there and go like crazy and have fun.
Yeah, some things you just have to experience. I mean, there's no manual. The X's and O's, not a problem. Dealing with
That's right.
Your staff, probably not that hard. You can learn that. You can people can pull you off to the side and kind of show you the ropes of that. Dealing with, I'm not going to be at summer workouts because my mama said I got to go, to my uncle's got a cat that had a surgery and
that's the truth. Yeah.
And you're looking at them going, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
okay,
I guess you got to go take care of your uncle's cat.
Yeah. I know.
You're trying to win games. You're like, oh my God. I am putting my livelihood in the hands of a 15-year-old.
Yeah. And then getting that point across too is always fun. Some people get it, some people don't, but boy, the tactful way of getting your point across too without being an a-hole, you know what I mean? And learning all those different nuances and how to communicate with people. And
I've never learned that.
People. Oh yeah. It's a,
I don't have that.
You don't. That's what makes your Twitter handle so awesome, because you don't sugarcoat anything.
Well, I don't. I think it's part of my Asperger's. I don't understand, because I would want to be told that way.
Yeah.
So I just, in my little brain, I just assume everybody else appreciates that kind of honesty.
It did. I know everybody that I talk to appreciates it, because you say those things out there that need to be said and heard.
And I don't think that the average everyday person appreciates that, because I'll say things sometimes, and then I'll see the look on their face, and I'm like, "What?" And then my wife's just sitting there shaking her head like, "Oh, you dummy." And I'm like, "What did I say?" She's like, "Just don't say it that way."
Yeah.
There's a nicer way to put it. And I'm like, "Well, I just said
it is what it is, right?"
Well, I mean, I don't mean anything by it. I'm not trying I'm not trying to be a turd. I'm just
being honest.
I'd want you to tell me the same, you have spinach in your teeth. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Let me get that out.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. I mean, that's things you have to, because if you're going to be especially in public, well, probably more so in private education too, but if you're going to be the head of the CEO of the organization, you're going to have really good people skills.
Yeah, no doubt. And then, like I said, just the power of persuasion is trying to get people to understand, the apathy of changing people. Like you said, I don't know if I can, show up and work every day. And you show up, you work hard every day, good things are going to happen, and just persuading people to do that. Because I think that's the biggest thing, is just convincing people that they can do more. You know what I mean? As a coach.
Oh, absolutely.
And getting them to do that, dig down and do it, and want them to do it, and then want to do it for themselves.
Well, I think this is why I work with kids coaches, because they appreciate honesty.
Yeah.
And I have a hard time with adults. I can't deal with the adult part of it. I can deal with kids. Tend to like me a lot because they know where they stand.
Sure.
I'm a steady, if nobody else on this planet is going to tell me like it is, I know he is.
Right.
I might not like it, but, he's going to shoot me straight. And, so a lot of times parents can't stand me, but kids love me.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm their buddy, and it's not because, we hang out or anything. I'm too old for that, but, that's just not my style. But it's just, I'm that way, and
It's refreshing.
and it's something that I don't think it's why I don't sit in the chair that you sit in, because you've got to be able, like you said, you've got to be able to motivate not just the kids that are playing for you, but you've got to be able to motivate the people working for you and the people that you're working for to get them to help you realize your vision.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's a big part of it too, that as a head coach, when you go in, when you're a young coach, you don't really think about stuff. You don't think that big picture. You're just trying to get to the game. You're just trying to make sure everybody's
Make sure
on
you
the
don't forget
bus.
footballs.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget footballs. And we got mouthpieces.
Yeah.
Did somebody bring the box with the physicals in it? Somebody said we
What
had
about
to have
D-pads?
those.
We always need D-pads, don't we?
Yeah. Yeah. Because somebody stole mine.
Yeah. That's right.
So you were in St. Louis for 8 years, and you decided to come on back to Georgia. Well, I mean, you were there
Yeah.
for 12, but 8 years as a
Right.
head coach. So you
Yes,
came
sir.
back to Georgia, and you've been at East Jackson for 7.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy nowadays? And I look around.
I
I'm
can't
telling
believe
you,
it's been 7 years. I was thinking like 4.
yeah, I know it's crazy. And you know what's crazy nowadays too in Georgia is how much high school coaches move around. Like I think Georgia's always moved around more that per se than maybe other states have. But I think, it's just the hotbed of coaching here. I mean, everything, all my friends up north are like, what's the difference? What's the difference down? I said, guys, it's just like the players are better everywhere. Like you could be in the middle of nowhere, turn over a rock. There's 3 Division I football players right there, and in the coaching here is so good, and the people just love football. Like it is a true religion down south, especially here in Georgia. Like and I say, hey, we just wrapped up spring ball, and I'm telling them about spring ball and how we got to go against another team, and they're like, whoa, that's crazy, that's so cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's just different. SEC, like they do, it just means more, right, being down here in Georgia. But I think that was the big reason why we wanted to get back, is just how much football is down here and just how important it is.
Yeah, I was at Orlando at the Coach of the Year clinic, and I'm the hospitality suite guy. And Vince Karras, the DC at Toledo, he was there, and great dude. And we just got to talking, and I said, look, man, I live in a place called Hawkinsville, Georgia. It's right outside of Warner Robins. I said, I live on a golf course. I got an extra bedroom. I said, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your butt, but I'm telling you, next time you come down recruiting, you come stay at my house, and within 50-mile radius of where I live, you can find 11 people that can play at Toledo.
No doubt.
I said, I'm not being ugly, I'm not being ugly, and I'm not janking on anywhere else. But within 50 miles of Warner Robins, Georgia, you can find some creatures,
yes,
that can play G5 football, that nobody's trying to talk to.
I know.
That would love to be a Rocket, or or whatever, whoever.
Yes, absolutely. They just want a shot to go play ball because they love it, and they have a passion for it. So when they go places, like they do extremely well. Like that, I think since I've been here, we sent 11 kids on to the next level, and 10 of them are still there thriving and doing a really good job. And all the coaches are coming back recruiting again because they're like, your kids just love football from Georgia. Every kid that we got from Georgia just like loves football. And I'm like, I know, if you're going to make it the next level, I mean, you've got to love it, and they're talented. I mean, like you said, there's super freaks all over the state, all over the place.
It's crazy. I mean, you grew up in Paulding County, I mean, it's not like it was a surprise to you,
Yeah.
And I mean, just think about Florida, Texas, California, Georgia. Those are your, hotbeds. People come in and recruit it. And you having that college experience, that's got to really help, your connections and those coaches knowing you're going to shoot them straight too. Cause if you're wrong on one, or you send one up there and he don't act right,
he ain't calling back.
Nah, you lost that forever.
That's right. And that's what I tell our players all the time. Like, I'm not going to lie to these college coaches because, like I said, not only is it about you, but it's about our program here and the name that you represent. So if we're saying these things about you, I mean, it's got to be accurate, because when you go there, it's got to stick, because that's the bottom line. Like, they got to know they're getting a good product, because guess what? When you do that, they're going to come back, they're going to talk to you more, and they're going to recruit more kids out of your school and your area just because of that.
So when you came for the East Jackson job, it was a very difficult situation. Hadn't had any success. I'm not even going to say a lot of success. Hadn't had any success. you're surrounded by, you got Jefferson, Commerce,
Yeah.
and they're raping you. However, city school systems getting whoever kids can go wherever in Georgia. Basically, now you got another city, you got another school in the county. You got people all around you. When you came in, how did you sell your vision? What was your vision for your program? What was your philosophy? Go.
Yeah. I think the philosophy was that we're special. I'll never forget when I came in the back roads, coming on Apple Valley and coming off 85, the interstate. It's wine. I'm watching GPS and I show up and Coach Lamb, I don't know if you've ever been here, but it, it looked like the Taj Mahal when I come over the hill. And I'm like, holy moly, like this is really a special place. Like the facilities are here. Right. So like fantastic facilities. So then I'm touring around and I'm like, all right, so it's a little rural and it's, we got some poverty here, pockets of poverty. I said, but, remind me of Paulding County where it's good people, like, people who are good people. So I'm like, hey, our vision here is people like you are special. You are different. You are going to be great because you're going to work hard every day and good things are going to happen because of that. And I think, as far as like our culture and our plan is it's simple, but it's the hardest thing in the world to do is we're going to show up and we're going to work every day because, I'm not the smartest guy in the world either, but I do love working hard, and I learned that from my dad growing up. And it's just one of those kind of things where, if all these other people see our work ethic and how we persevere and how we get up, we just keep grinding and keep grinding. I mean, good things happen. And I think that's kind of like been the whole thing. And the staff's been on board with us since day one. I've had some really good coaches here and it's the administration's been great. I mean, all those things really just kind of fall into place where, you love where you're at. And I'll never forget, I told our principal, Miss Palmer, when I showed up for the interview, I said, when I get this job, I said, me and my wife, my daughter are going to live a mile down the road. And I said, and she's going to be a senior this next year. And I said, and this was back when she was going to be in 6th grade. And I said, and we ain't going nowhere. Like, this is where we want to be. This is how we want to build it. I said, we believe in it. We believe in the people here and we're going to do great things. And I think that was just kind of like, and now the people know, like they know Coach Pettus, like they know that Coach Pettus is going to be here for them and just build those relationships with them, and they know that staff's going to be here and they can count on us. And there ain't going to be a new face every year. There's going to be Coach Pettus. Like, and I think the big thing is, like you said, because kids can go anywhere, is you got to build those relationships, when they're young too. So like, we're visiting our feeder schools and we're visiting our elementary schools and our middle schools, and we're in those places and we're working with those guys with our youth football programs. And we're doing all those kind of things just to build our community here in East Jackson. I think that, and that's really taken hold just because it wasn't easy when we first got here. And it's just one of those kind of things. You just got to keep working, keep grinding.
So when you came in, was there any one thing that you thought you had to really focus on? Was it the weight room or the feeder program or building a staff? I mean, what was like day one? You went, okay, day one, let's
day one, no doubt. It is. I'm a weight room guy, so I mean, when I was in coaching college, I was a strength coach too. So, so that's first and foremost, and kind of goes back to what I was telling you, that the work ethic, where if you get in there and you work hard, good things happen. And then, in this crazy world we live in, and as strength coach, I really we started delving into speed development, right? And so I was like, because people are like, oh, you're just born fast. And that's true to a certain extent, but also no matter where you're at, you can get faster. And so I think that was probably the strength and the speed aspect was kind of like the cornerstone of what we were doing here. I think that's probably very, very unique to what other schools are doing, is that the investment of what we've made into not only our strength program, but our speed program, because they go hand in hand. And people's like, I'm like, our speed program is very dynamic, honestly. Like, I think it's one of the best, out there with what we do, developing guys just get faster, because we all know that speed kills. So,
well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because our title sponsor, Titan Sensor, they provide world-class tracking and all types of, whether it's football, baseball, or track and field. Titan can hook you up with any package you'd like to get your program headed in the right direction for speed development, and they do all types of things with that. It's kind of similar to the catapult, but better. And I didn't know if you were aware of that, but that is our title sponsor. I'm just kidding. It's not an ad read, but Titan is our
That's cool.
they
Yeah.
are our title sponsor, and they do a lot of cool, statewide and regional, graphics and stuff like that the kids like, and they can track their mile per hours and their workload and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I'm so old school. When somebody told me stuff like that, I was like, you're kidding. They're like,
Yeah.
oh no, they can't argue with it. Like a kid, you're like, what do I got to do to get in the game? Well, looking at this, you hadn't been practicing real hard, dude.
It's crazy. I know. So actually, it's funny you say that. So Chris, we've been catapult now for, I think we're going on year 3. So we've been doing that for quite some time. And just like you said, the player load, and I've got a fantastic strength coach who works with me, Matt Patton, and he is phenomenal because like that dude goes down a rabbit hole with, like you said, with Titan and catapult. I mean, those GPS sensors, and man, you can get track, like I said, mile per hour, like ACL, deceleration, like workload. Like, I mean, you can go down all kinds of things. And like you said, just tracking those kind of things and putting that science into play for us old heads, it's neat, and it's very unique, but it's extremely helpful. What's crazy about how we do that now? Like me and Coach Patton will sit in, like, just like we did at spring ball. And we actually go through our player load. And when I am like formatting our practice plans that I give to the coach where they fill in, obviously drills or technique or anything else like that, like we're calculating how many reps like we're going to get so we can make sure we're hitting our correct player load. So we feel like we are at our peak on game night. And that is just blows my mind that we're able to do that nowadays. Whereas, that was something that all we worried about was X's and O's back in the day.
Oh yeah. Or, just y'all take a break, get some water.
Yeah. You need some water.
We need to run some more.
Hydrated.
We need to run some more gassers to get you boys in shape.
Yeah, I know.
And then these guys, you guys, and other people like Pierce County, I know they use Titan and stuff like that, and they're like, well, if we had if our receivers ran, if we did a lot of screen on Monday, we know exactly how much they ran. Well, and on Tuesday we'll do more run blocking, and we'll give them a break. But I mean, there's other things we can work on. That we're not going to run routes that day. We're not going to, because they just ran. We know exactly how many miles they ran.
Right. And how hard they ran
and
them.
how hard they ran them. And if the kid is complaining about his playing time, we can show it to him and go, look, baby, you're not running as hard as you can run. And they can't argue with it. It's like, why am my kid playing? Because your kid doesn't run as fast as this kid. Your kid doesn't work as hard as this kid. And I'm like, well, that's just one more tool in the tool belt. And I think it's awesome that
it is,
because us old heads are like, I don't care if it works. Let's do it. And then you look at it and you're like, this is awesome. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
So we like delve into that. And I know, and like now all of a sudden we're like, hey, did we hit our 85%, on Monday or Tuesday? Because we don't want any hammies on Friday, so we got to make sure we're hitting that, you know what I mean? And it's like crazy. And then in the off season, we use free lap. So we're a big free lap timer. So we do flying tens usually Wednesday or Thursday. We have a competition. We call it the King of Speed, and we have a crown that the kid wears. We get to post on social media, you know what I mean? And so they get to hit, their flying 10 speed, and we calculate it over to miles per hour for them. And it's just, it just creates that culture, like you said, where kids are fighting. Hey, how fast I run that, coach? Hey, and they're wanting to compete weekly, to improve on that speed. And it's just been a neat thing between that and, like you said, the catapult, or if you're using Titan and just managing, like you said, because, hey, you hit 22 miles an hour in game with pads on. That's flipping fast. All right. That's one of the fastest in the freaking state of Georgia this week. Kids are like, holy moly. You know what I mean? It's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Really
when
cool.
You can show them who they're competing against statewide and stuff like that, and you flash it up there
crazy,
and stuff.
Isn't it?
I mean, people say kids are different these days, and they are. I mean, I don't really think that they're different. They have better toys.
Yes.
They're still kids, and
absolutely,
they still want to be patted on the head, and they still want to know who they're up against, and they're still competitive.
Yeah, and you could use that, like I said, all these toys to get those competitive juices firing with these guys. And it's, like I said, that's why we're in it. We're in it for the kids, and make them better and help them in their journey. And it's fun, though. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. So how was spring ball for them Eagles?
It was awesome, man. I'm telling you, So we got a quarterback who's going to be a senior, and he's he's that 22-mile-per-hour kid. He's the fastest freaking quarterback I've ever seen. I swear that kid can run. He's not very big, but he can fly, and he just creates so many different things. So we run a spread offense to kind of open it up for him, and then we got some receivers who can go to, and we got a couple running backs that are doing fantastic that work their butts off. And defensively, we got a great staff, and those guys are running around and they're competing, and it was a lot of fun this spring. I think we got a shot to be pretty good. I mean, we're going to have a lot of work still to do. Don't get me wrong, but it's just neat because you can see a lot of the hard work is paying off for these young men.
Did y'all actually play someone else in the spring game, or did y'all have an inter-squad?
Yeah, we did. We actually, no, we went against Oglethorpe, played against those guys, and got to compete. And that, I think for me, not having spring ball for all those many years I was up in Illinois, besides college, and even college, we can just go against yourself, is the chance to go against somebody else. I don't know why every high school coach doesn't take advantage of that, because you get to, I mean, we kind of know, maybe we think we have an idea when we're going against ourselves, but when you go against somebody else, you get a dead indicator of like, okay, this is where we're at. This dude we thought could play, he can't play, or this dude stepped up and he can play. And I think that's just kind of awesome that we get to do that before we roll into summer workouts, so we know what to work on.
Yeah, I was talking to a buddy of mine, David Thrower, the other day, and me and DT talk a lot every week, and he's retired now, but he's a pro spring practice guy, and I've always been an anti-spring practice guy. Like, man, the older I get, it's just a lot of work for 10 days, and I get it and all that other stuff, but I'm like you. If I'm gonna have to do it, give me a game. Give me something to look forward to. Let me
give some of the kids to look forward to too.
Let me get them
Friday,
out there.
That's right.
Oh yeah, let me watch them get out there and run around, and then give me something to. As we go into the summer, I have some more measurables to.
Got some more data.
Yeah, some more things to have them go against. So, with the modern era of football, as you being a fellow old head in the state of Georgia now, what are some things about the state of the game that dislike, things that bother you, or things that you look at and go, man, I can't believe we've gotten to this point, or you just not really think about it and just kind of take it as it comes?
Yeah, I think you just kind of take it as it comes. I just, like I said, I think the big thing is, these kids are busting butt and working hard. It's getting harder and harder for them to get those opportunities at the collegiate level, just because of the trickle down, like you said. But like, I told, I forget, Georgia State was in the other day, and they were like, hey, coach, we got a thing where, if we go to roster size 105, and if, we can bring in kids that have the hope or Zell, that don't count against our scholarship count, and that money we get to save, we don't got to pay as an institution. I'm like, well, beautiful, freaking recruit nothing but Georgia, recruit nothing but Georgia, and get those kind of kids in there, because I guarantee you can find 105 kids in the state of Georgia that can play for Georgia State, just like anywhere else. But I know, me and you believe in that, but I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just the like you said, kids' opportunities coming out of high school is just a little bit harder nowadays. They're not impossible, but they're definitely harder to come by.
So how important is it in your off season that you spend with your kids, explaining to them, the importance of the weight room, the classroom, the character, and everything else? Because as a former college coach, we know that the film's going to be the film, and the measurables are going to be the measurables. Y'all want to know more about the intangible, you know what you're looking for when you're coming to recruit a kid.
Absolutely.
How much time do you have to spend, or do you spend with your guys going, look, guys, you can be the prettiest thing on earth, but if you turd it up, you ain't got no character and you ain't got no grades, I can't help you.
That's right. No, and I think we work on that weekly. We really do. I mean, we usually have skull sessions, where we're talking with these young men about different things. Obviously, we're doing grade checks with our guys, and we're trying to make sure that they're staying on top of their academics. Because like you said, I mean, the higher you are academically, the more range you're going to have for colleges that you're going to be able to look at. And if you're not as high academically, that window, I tell them all the time, it closes, and gets smaller and smaller. You can still get through it, but it might not be the place where you want. And I said, no offense to going to a JUCO or to a prep school. I said, but that's not an easy route. That's a tough route. You can do it, but it's going to be a lot harder for you to get through if you don't take care of your grades right now. And I think that's the big thing that we try to instill with those guys. Is the skull sessions do work really well. Talking to those guys, like I said, about different character things. And, if it's coach, we always have coaches too. I usually try to rotate my coaches who talk and give important points about little things like, if you're walking around campus and you're picking up trash, or if you're at Ingles uptown and you see an elderly person, why don't you just help them take groceries to the car? Just something a little like that, kind of give back to your community, and how to act and how to be humble, and be thankful for what we have, because we're very blessed. All those little things. I think it's a constant thing that we try to reinforce with our young men.
Oh, absolutely. DT was telling me the other day, he had a young man one year, and his mama asked him about playing at the next level, and he was like, "Ma'am, the places that he can play, he can't get into, and the places that he can get into, he can't play."
Yeah.
And that's, it's just one of those things where matching them up with their grades sometimes is hard with their talent. It's like
Yep.
it's a sliding scale of, hey man, you and impressing upon them how important that is. And these days, especially getting them to understand that they're competing with everybody in the country that's their age that wants to do this same thing. And with the NIL and the trickle down and everything else, it's even more important that they be on top of their game, because they are competing not just with the kids on their team or in their region or in their state. There's a finite number of opportunities, and it ain't rec ball.
Yeah, that's right. And like you said, I mean, it's one of those kind of things where kids just got to understand too. They only know what they know in their own little world. You know what I mean? So they don't have a broad understanding sometimes. Like, there might be a player just like me who has better grades, who runs just like me, but might be at another state or another place in Georgia. And the college can go there and get him instead of doing it here with me. And it's just one of those kind of things where you're just really, like you said, constantly just letting those kids know that there are other options out there. We're not the only one, and you're going to have to work hard to get it.
And there's nothing wrong with being a good little old high school football player.
Heck no.
You
There's nothing
know,
wrong with being a Division III freaking football player. Just loves it. Like, I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and have a great experience in high school, and give back to your community and be a part of it, and tell those stories about, man, hey, remember we played freaking Commerce. That was a great game. That was so much fun. And, all those kind of stories that just trickle back, you know what I mean? And you'll remember those for the rest of your life, and it's just something we all remember. High Friday Night Lights, I mean, college was great, coaching college was great, but I mean, Friday Night Lights, there's just something special about Friday Night Lights that just cannot be duplicated.
well, it is apparent that you had a blast playing Division III football and coaching Division III football, because it just comes out in your voice when you talk about it and you enjoy what you did. You didn't get cheated. It doesn't sound
Yeah.
like you. It doesn't sound like that you had any regrets about playing at Millikin or coaching at that level, because it sounds like you're still having a big time doing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, everybody's like, "What would you do? Would you transfer it out?" Because I mean, I grew while I was in college. I was like, but then I wouldn't have had the experiences I had at Millikin. You know what I mean? And it was like, I loved it. I wouldn't have traded it for the world. And I loved University of Georgia, but I wasn't going to play at Georgia. I wasn't that good. And the fact that I was able to go and have a good experience and play and get my degree and continue, love my life and coach football, and that trickle down effect, like you said, you look back and those dots connected. And that's how I met my wife, and how I have my kid now, my daughter, and I'm at where I love and doing what I love. I mean, it's just awesome.
Yeah, I think you hit on something really key there to me, is you had good experience. And I think that's something that is our biggest job, is putting these kids first and making sure they have a good experience.
Yeah.
Because that's, to me, I think that gets lost a lot of times with the general public, is them not understanding. Yeah, we want to win. Of course we do.
Yeah.
But like you said, we want them to be able to look back on this and have fond memories of their time as coaches. I mean, as players.
Yeah. We want them to have fun. And I say it all the time, like, why do we coach? Why do we play? Of course, we got to work hard, but we do it because it's fun, and football is fun. That's why I tell our guys all the time. So, like, we've got to grind, we've got to work. But also too, like, kids got to be kids, and we got to let them have some fun, And I think, that's another thing. Coaches, we got to have fun. That's why we do it. Like, the interactions we have with our kids, they're hilarious. You know what I mean? Because, like, it's just fun because they're idiots, and there are idiots. You know what I mean? And we were idiots. You know what I mean? And it's just like, everyone's like, "What's the greatest thing about coaching high school?" I'm like, "Well, they're idiots, but I was an idiot, and I'm still an idiot." And it's just fun because you can just cut it up with them and make them better, and just they're ours, and it's just it's so much fun.
There are idiots.
That's right,
Well, but it's like you said about me on Twitter, when I put on there the "Hey coach, hey player," I'm generally writing those down. They have just happened, and I'm doing them for y'all because I know y'all are experiencing the exact same thing. And the general public doesn't understand that we have a wealth of entertainment right there in front of us every day.
Absolutely.
Because the things that they come up with, we're just like...
And things they say and do.
Yeah, and you're like, do tell.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the other day I had a kid that was like, "Hey, coach, didn't Christopher Columbus write the Pledge of Allegiance?" I said, "Absolutely, baby. He sure did." He also played quarterback for the '85 Bears. And he went, "Bet." I was like, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I just stir them up. I just keep going with it.
Yeah.
And I learned that from Frank Killingsworth. He used to do that all the time. Like,
it's so much fun.
And I'd raise my hand, like I'd co-teach with him in history. And he'd be like, Prince Henry the Navigator in Portugal today. And I'd raise my hand. He'd go, "What, coach?" And I'd go, "Didn't he play slot receiver for y'all at Mitchell Baker?" He was like, "He sure did. He was starting shortstop for us too that year we won the state championship." And the kids would be over there like, "Huh, didn't know that." They'd be like taking notes. We just keep on going. I mean, he'd say it with a straight face. It was great.
Yeah.
And he'd show them a video of this guy. He put marshmallows on peach trees and told them that the marshmallow crop was bad because they got too much rain. And it caused a fight in class one day because these two girls, one of them was convinced that marshmallows grew on trees. And the other one was like, "Marshmallows don't grow on trees." And they started fighting. It was great.
Oh my gosh.
But I mean, it's a normal, we call that third period. That's for us, that's just a normal day.
Yeah, normal day. That's it.
And you got to have fun with it. I mean,
you got to.
Because they're just kids.
Come on.
And we were the same way. We were just
That's right. That's why I tell people, like, we were so stupid too. Like, we were all, because it's so funny because my daughter.
And we didn't have the internet.
Oh, yeah.
We were worse.
Right? Oh, yeah. And my daughter's like, "Hey, why are the boys?" I go, "Campbell, just remember your dad's an idiot. Right? And boys are just idiots. That's what we are. I mean, we can't help it. It's in our DNA.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't understand." I'm like, "I know."
Yeah, we don't grow up until we're like, when we're 35, we're like 15.
Yes, absolutely. So, I'm 51, and sometimes I can still be freaking 14 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And drop a hat. And it's like kids are like, "What?" Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I turned 51 last week, and my wife's birthday's the week before mine. She got a fart card for her birthday. And I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And my son got her like a sweet, nice card. She's like, "How in the world did the 16-year-old get me the sweet, nice card? You got me the fart card." And I'm like, "It was funny."
Yeah, that's right. No doubt.
We can't help it. But well, Coach, I'm glad you came on with us and shared the story, and I can't wait to see what you guys get crack-a-lacking up there at East Jackson this fall. And I hope y'all have a great summer and a very productive off season. And I know one thing, y'all gonna have a good time and y'all gonna work hard.
That's right. That's the bottom line, Chris. Thank you, buddy, for having me. Like, I really appreciate it. It's been a blast, man. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Coach.